What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of 5 Year Past Podcast, the Euro 2021 episodes. My name is Suddy, this is Shyam. Let's get to it. So we're going to be previewing Portugal versus Portugal versus Germany. Portugal coming off probably the most impressive win so far against a very stubborn Hungary side, and Germany coming off 1-0 loss. We both called, well, I think we said a draw, but we did lean towards France. No own goal. They were definitely outplayed in moments. They moved the ball, but they were outplayed. And look, they're going to go head to head. If Germany lose this, big trouble for them. Huge trouble. They have to win big against Hungary in their last game, which I don't know if they can, the way they're playing. They just don't seem penetrative as they used to be. Finally, Spain and Germany, who dominated the 2010s, are just not what they were. The personality is not the same, and the attacking kind of form is not the same. Sham, I thought I watched watching the Portugal-Hungary game. Portugal looked very good, but I have to say, and this is going to sound horrible, but Diego Jota just doesn't look up for it. He seems just a little bit off the pace of everyone, and doesn't seem to be syncing up with perhaps the most important player, Ronaldo, to get the goals.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was. I don't know if he was quite off. I kind of felt he was trying too hard. Which
yes, way better. Yeah, way better words to say describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, but he obviously wanted it really bad. But yeah, if you can't link up with Cristiano, then I think you're in a bit of trouble. Particularly if they've got Felix in the wings. Felix is he's a very good player. He's starting to show his worth. Jota had a really good period of time at Liverpool till he got injured. He hasn't.
So you said that Felix. So you said that Felix showing his worth. It's funny what you do when you give a teenager time. You know, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's like they develop.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
But yeah, So they played. I thought they played a diamond. They actually played kind of like England, the 4-2-3-1. And Jota was sort of playing that high left role, so Felix could slot in there. They did look good. There were some players that looked quite good, and some players looked a bit off. Even Ronaldo, like he scored twice. He's now scored the most Euro goals ever. He's 106 for 106 for Portugal. So he's 3 off Ali Daei, who scored 109 for Iran. He was a very good player, Ali Daei, actually. I remember people always say Ali Daei scored 109 goals, but I remember him playing against Australia in the 90s, trying to qualify for the World Cup. He was sort of like the Alan Shearer of Iran. He was the number 9. He was sort of that big barrel-chested striker, very good technically as well.
He is. The way Newcastle fans say Alan Shearer is our trophy. He was Iran's trophy, I guess.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was a very good player. But back to Cristiano. But yeah, he missed a couple of chances he probably should have scored. One was a penalty. The second goal he actually created quite well and finished. The amazing thing is, this is a summer tournament. It's he's 36, but he's the one with the fitness outrunning everybody else at the end of games. Portugal did look very good, but they were a tad lucky with the first goal, and they scored that in the 83rd minute or something, and then the game really opened up. But they were a tad lucky with that goal. It was a massive deflection from the left back, who for some reason was in the right channel hitting shots, but it sort of showed that they were able to commit players forward. They got good players, Portugal, and there was even a fella, Rafa Silva, came on. He won the penalty for the second goal. He played quite well as well. He caught my eye.
I just want to touch on the third goal really quickly. The third goal for me is what happens when, you talk about the best players, the best number 10s in the Premier League right now. Silva is definitely Manga, and Bruno would be the best in that number 10. Not so much that 8.5 that De Bruyne plays. You saw the way they worked that goal. It was absolutely was gold football, liquid football, and that's what they can do. I wanted to quickly.
It looked a bit like an indoor soccer goal. Like it was that the touching and the combination work. Like it was that good. Yeah.
And Ronaldo, man, it's funny when they have corners. Ronaldo comes back for the corners, and Jota stays on the halfway line, which is very interesting because Ronaldo becomes a different animal when he plays for Portugal. It's almost like looking at a leader who really steps up, because at Madrid he was leader, but he never wore the armband. At Juventus, obviously not. United, obviously not. But he just becomes this god almost. You look at him, you're like, this guy, when he plays for his country, plays the same way, but there's a little bit of a look at me, do what I do.
I actually thought he reminded me a bit of Sergio Ramos. Actually, like you're exactly right. And Ramos was kind of the driving force of that Real Madrid team. That he was. Even though Ronaldo was a star and he was a talisman, but that was Sergio Ramos's team. I think. But Ronaldo is that. He reminds me a lot of Sergio when he plays for Portugal. But yeah, it's interesting that they've got the win that they needed, and
Mm-hmm.
a good win. To win by 3 goals is very impressive. But Portugal have 2 tough games now. They have Germany, and they'll want to get this result because they won't want to go into the France game needing something,
Mm-hmm.
because that France team
Yeah.
is very difficult to beat. I
Yeah.
was a bit iffy on Bruno. Bruno didn't play particularly well. He seemed a little bit slow, just in the mind, maybe a bit
Mm-hmm.
fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't quite seem the driving force. Bernardo was brilliant, but Bruno
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really there, I felt.
I mean, he wasn't there, but I thought he played okay. Which just goes. I mean, he's got levels, and you can be a bit flattered. Your ability can be a flattered when you have Ronaldo to pass to, because Ronaldo's 3 chances, he scores 2. Let's shift the focus now to the German team, who, I mean, they didn't look bad, but they didn't look that good, man. They got one shot the whole game, and so did France. But France play a very, will sit back and will hit you on the counter. They got the fastest, potentially one of the fastest players in the world. They had a lot of the ball. They had a lot of passing. Um, Now, is Germany now at a, what I like to think of as like a 2002 phase, where they're about to scrap a lot of players, but they do have a very good young core coming through, which is why they did well in the 06, and then so on and so forth. Are they there now, or do you think this team can go on to win the Euro? This German team, I mean.
I don't think that they can win the Euros. I think that they'll do okay. I just don't see them being able to beat the top teams. They can match them,
Yeah.
and they definitely matched France. And they're a bit unlucky that the goal was an own goal.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, I think they had 60% possession or 65% possession in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
70. Yeah. 70%. Yeah.
weren't really able to do anything with it. France's midfield
Mm-hmm.
three were very impressive. Rabiot, I've not seen a lot of him, but he's a good mix for Kante and Pogba. The three
Mm-hmm.
of them mesh together quite well. And Pogba, like, it was a really good ball that he played for. I said he's the player to watch. He did get that ball out to the left for
The
it to
ball.
and be a goal. It was
Yeah.
kind of like a half whip, half toe poke. Like, it was kind of
Yeah.
a weird. You could see the spin was a bit funny, but you could see what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
But he's got latitude with France to do that because of
Mm-hmm.
guys like Kante and Rabiot around him that create that platform. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
United haven't really created that for him. But
Yeah. Back
yeah,
to Germany.
back to Germany. Yeah, um, I think that they need to get Kimmich more involved.
Mm-hmm.
And it was strange playing against Mbappe. Their backline was so high. Like Cristiano
Mm-hmm.
and Bernardo Silva and Jota and Felix would just be like, I hope you play the backline that high in the second half.
Yeah.
Maybe because they were trying to push. But you
Mm-hmm.
could see in the second half that they were pretty much on the halfway line. And you think
Yeah.
if they just played 5 or 10 meters back,
Yeah.
France were really hitting them hard on the counter, and they can't afford that against Cristiano of all people. You don't want to give Cristiano a chance on the counter; he will snatch it. Same with Bruno, same with Bernardo. So they'll have to
Yeah.
be very careful about where that defensive line sits, and particularly if they're going to play Hummels. Hummels really good player, but a tad slow now. He's a bit older. So
Mm-hmm.
Ronaldo will be going, okay, I'm going straight at you, Matt. And Mbappe did that as well. Mbappe was,
Yeah.
and for all the Germany play, I think Mbappe had 2 goals disallowed for offside. I mean, correctly
Mm-hmm.
disallowed, but 3-0 is a very different result to 1-0.
Yeah. You say the pace though. Did you see that Hummels tackle on and Mbappe?
Oh yeah,
It
I
was a,
mean,
it was a thing of
yeah, yeah.
beauty.
As much as I'm
You,
saying that, but he had to come from
Paulo,
behind, you know.
Paulo Maldini says if you have to tackle, you're not doing your job right. I'm off that school of thought. But you talk about the German defense being a touch slow. I was thinking when I saw yesterday, I was thinking, oh, the Portuguese defense might be a bit slow, but they do have 3 fairly quick players: Semedo, Diaz, Guerrero, who are quite fast. And Pepe's positioning yesterday was near perfect, man, against Hungary. So I think
38 years old.
38 years old. He has had a stellar season with Porto this year.
Yeah.
People wrote him off after he left Madrid, but he's playing I mean, it's definitely his last international tournament. But I guess if you're around people like Ronaldo, you're taking a leaf out of his book. The on-field, off-field kind of stuff. Um,
And they played
I
together at club level as well, so it's not just a national team thing. So they played
Yeah.
together at club level for a while.
What I would like to see in this fixture now, you're going to see what I think you're going to see now is a lot of shithousery. You have the shithousery kings in Pepe versus Muller. Do you remember that, Sham? 2014 World Cup, 2018 World Cup.
Oh
Pepe
yeah,
and Muller had
yeah. Pepe Mol-
yeah,
that'll
and
be interesting.
Muller got him sent off, and you're gonna have a repeat of that kind of shithousery. I don't think Pepe will fall for it again, but this is another one. It's not gonna be so much blood, sweat, and tears as a Scotland game, but you're gonna have it's gonna be in many ways like the condensation of the best of the Champions League kind of shithousery. You're gonna have that kind of football. It's gonna be a great game. Key players to watch, Sham, for you for both teams, and then I want a prediction.
I'm going to go with Bernardo because he was that good against Hungary. I
Mm.
think that
Wow. Okay.
if they're going to win, he's the guy that I think that that Germany are going to have to keep an eye on. And I'm going to
Hmm.
go with Kimmich for Germany because I think that they need to bring him into a central position. They're playing kind of like that Arsenal or that Chelsea 3-4-3, which is
Hmm.
why they pushed Kimmich wide and played Gundogan and Cruz in the middle. And then
Hmm.
they played they played Muller, Havertz, and then Uzafran Gnabry. I think they're going to have to adjust that. I, I have a feeling that they should go 4-3-3. I don't know if they will. They're probably worried about
Hmm.
the back four and how that will work, which is why
Hmm.
they got Hummels and Rudiger, who are not really guys you want to put in the back four. So
Hmm.
how they get, I think that they're compensating the midfield because of the defense, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. So I think
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
that I think is the issue, and that's why they can't do it. They might even have to push Gundogan into a more attacking position to bring Kimmich across. Um,
Right. Okay.
I really think they need to get Kimmich on the ball more, even if he just defends wide and then moves into because he can do that. He can play like as an inverted wing back almost. Maybe
Yeah.
have him wide and then just have him charge into the middle and make someone in that Portuguese midfield accountable because that Portuguese. I mean, Carvalho is pretty good. That Bruno plays in there. There's good mid. They got good midfielders, and I think that Gundogan is not a tackler. Cruz is not a tackler. You need someone there with a bit of bite. Otherwise, the Portuguese guys are just gonna just do what they want to do. So I
Mm.
think that Germany need to try something different in order to just to rattle Portugal a bit. And in the midfield, because Portugal's strikers are that good, you kind of need to rattle them the midfield before the ball gets to the strikers.
Hmm. For me, I think it's a big game for Thomas Muller. I think I just mentioned before with the shithousery. I think Muller could be a key man. He's someone who wears kind of a badge in the sleeve kind of guy, heart in his sleeve. Excuse me. Um,
How did you
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him work between the lines. Positioning wise, Pepe is very good. I'd like to see him get a few goals against Pepe. You know how we say he's an exploiter of space. He's very good like that, and I think Diaz hasn't come across a striker that good in the league. For Portugal, I will say this. Jota has been very good this year in correcting what he does wrong for Liverpool. He started off a bit slow for Liverpool, and then he just exploded. And I think he's going to look back at that game and think like, I've done this wrong. I was in my head a bit too much, overthinking things, whatever you want to call it. I think you'll see a very different player this game, and he will start, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, I wanted to get your thoughts on how Muller played against France.
I thought they were bland, man. I thought Germany as a whole. It's very funny because when Germany plays shit as a whole. Okay, I'll give you an example. When they play well as a whole, in that 7-1 win against Brazil, who was your man of the match? You
Yeah.
couldn't pick a man of the match because they just play so well and they play shit as a whole. They play well as a whole. They're very good like that. They're not like the Germany of the 90s, I guess, when you can pick up Oliver Kahn, Bierhoff. Names not coming to my head right now, but
Yeah.
yeah, Lothar Matthäus. You can pick superstars. You can't, although they are 15 superstars in the team, they somehow come together and they even themselves out, and they're all 7 out of 10 suddenly. Very much like the Man City of
In
today.
Germany, after the '02 World Cup and the 2000 Euros, they started creating centers of football. And I
Yeah,
think centers is kind of built around that, like players who do
yeah.
common things.
They revamped the whole thing. I remember they revamped the whole system, and that's why they're so good now. Well, they until the last World Cup, but that's why the whole system of football in Germany is good up to the highest levels.
Hmm.
Anyway, any closing thoughts, Sham? Oh, sorry, give me a score.
Um, in the 2018 World Cup, that Germany lost their first game, and they won their second with a injury, like a fifth minute of injury time free kick from
Yeah,
Cruz.
the free kick from Cruz. Yeah,
So I don't think they're better than that. I'm kind of leaning to 1-1, but I think if someone's going to nick it, it's Portugal. I just think that
they have
Portugal
more game
is
winners,
right about them,
more
and
match winners.
they got the feeling of a tournament team where Germany
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go 2-1 Portugal. I actually think it could be a
yeah.
draw, but I'm just going to go 2-1 Portugal. I got a feeling. Got a feeling.
I don't think Germany's going to score. Even though I think Muller might have a good game, I think it's going to be 1-0 again, very tight. And I think they'd be delighted with it. End of the day, 3 points, 3 points at this stage. I think they'd be delighted with 1-0 that puts them through. And then all they have to do is draw against all they have to draw against France. No,
Yeah.
they're drawing against France is something they can do, and they probably
Germany
wouldn't
would
mind.
need a
But
big win against Hungary, which
yeah, so
so if they
um,
don't lose by a lot against Portugal, they could go and smash Hungary and get one of those third place slots. But it depends on
yeah,
it would depend on how the games flow but they're in Group F, so they play last, so they'll know what they need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, perfect. Once again, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the 5-Yard Pass Euro 2021 series. So delighted that there's just so many games coming. It's all exciting, Shyam. We'll have a video for you next week. This is the preview for Germany versus Portugal. It's going to be a very exciting game. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. My name is Suddy. This is Shyam. Keep football simple, and as always,
keep passing, guys. Cheers.